Good evening. Welcome to episode number 62 of the Black Feather and Ospreys Rugby Fancast. Another sunny
Hello.
one. My neighbours are probably going to think I'm mental because I've still not decorated my living room. We're on about week 55 of that now. And I've hung a blanket out of the window to block the sunlight coming in. So when people are saying rugby needs to be a summer sport, not for the purposes of recording a pod, it doesn't. But good evening, gents.
Evening.
Evening.
It'd be nice to have a slightly quieter, normal-paced week this week with the focus on rugby, although we'll come to that in a minute. Maybe not as enjoyable as we were hoping it would be, but without all the rest of the scandal and everything else that's gone on in the last few months as well. It's felt a bit different this week, isn't it, I think?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
good weekend of rugby, all in all. Some crazy results with Benetton Leinster. Glasgow having a little bit of a shocker, but we'll wind ourselves back to Friday. And Friday, the weather was beautiful. I had half day. I went into Cardiff early. It was really, really lovely.
Can we just stop there? Don't go any
Yeah,
further.
should we stop? Other than the result, it was great.
the pint in Tiny Rebel was delicious. That's what you
I
need to say.
tried something new. They had a pear cider. No, sorry, I'm lying. Not a pear cider. A peach cider. They wanted a pineapple one there. Oh my God. I had a sip of the peach cider. If I wasn't driving when I'd got back to Swansea, I probably would have drunk that and got absolutely smashed. Because
Sounds nice.
it tasted like pop. It tasted like pop. I couldn't try the pineapple one because I'm allergic to pineapple.
Question is whether it is flavoured or whether it's actually made
It was
from that
actual
fruit.
peach.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then I like a fruity cider if it is brewed from what it says, not just
No, it was.
artificially replicated.
No, nothing artificial about it.
Okay.
It had that really, like proper scrumpy cider where it's cloudy.
Yeah.
It had that kind of feel about it. It was really, really lovely. But Cardiff was really busy. There was loads of people in Tiny Rebel, loads of people in the Gatekeeper, in the Wetherspoons. Loads of people went into the ground early because they had like Josh Navidi there and all the stuff going on for kids beforehand. And you could really sense like the 12,000 strong crowd there. It's going to be a big one when you're heading into the ground and touts are asking you to buy your tickets.
Wow.
Cardiff even asked their season ticket holders who weren't attending to release their tickets back. So it was busy. Obviously, bit of a weird run up in the week to it with the owner of the Sharks coming out and saying that he wanted lie detector tests.
Hasn't Mark Jones said today that he will actually do that? He said, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah, no problem. Never mind the independent doctor and their integrity that you bring into it. So very,
With all
very
due respect to him, stay in your lane. He probably doesn't have a clue about these sort of matters, does he? Just shut up.
Mark, you're old enough to remember with me with the Bloodgate scandal with Dean Richards, and
there is a superb BBC documentary on Richard Salmons on that. It's fantastic. Yeah, taking you through the whole story with it. It's really good.
So that kind of thing just does not happen in rugby. It's not that kind of sport.
It's not soccer, as Nigel Owen just once said.
The other thing that I'm really proud of from last week is my clap back to a South African fan who accused me of working in a brothel.
I did see.
Now.
Very quick.
He literally said, and it's tickled me. He said, I'm surprised they let you use your phone while you're working in the brothel. Responded straight back, it's okay, your mum said she'd cover my shift. No response. Absolutely no response to that at all whatsoever. I retweeted it and said, his mum's raking in a fortune tonight. She could sack an orange dry in 5 seconds. Someone who normally hates me responded and said, no, Sam, she's sucking lemons. That's why he's so bitter. I was absolutely... So Twitter's been a vibe this week with the banter. I really, really enjoyed. But like parking that, going into Cardiff, it was a lovely evening for it. I was dressed as a girl. I had a dress on. And it was a nice vibe, apart from the security guards. The security guards were a little bit overzealous. Didn't seem to ask the Cardiff fans that much, but they were asking all the Osprey fans to check their flags, unfurl them, show their banners, blah, blah, blah.
What I want to know in that situation is, what is the threshold of acceptability in their eyes? Were they looking for expletives? Were they looking for any kind of WRU defamation?
But it was kind of giving me 1984 vibes and a few Mussolini fascist vibes. I'm not going to lie, right?
And then there's obviously the video of the journalist as well who had his bag.
Johan Dyer.
Yeah.
Like, he is... They were talking about it on Scrum 5. He is such a well-known journalist, and to ask him to take all his security flags off, security tags off, what risk do those tags really? Like I said to John, I'm naive in that respect, but John doing the job that John does, John's quite switched on when it comes to threat, risk, harm, whatever. And I said, realistically, what is it that they could thing? And he said, the reality is they could have like moved them around a bit, seen if there was anything underneath it. That didn't need to happen. So gutted for him, but we go again, and he'll continue selecting his collecting his security bands.
Looked like he was going to run out of space soon anyway, so
yeah,
it's pretty full, wasn't it?
He would have had to...
Going off track, but on a similar theme, did you see the guy that smuggled a bacon sandwich into Forest Green Rovers Stadium? The Forest Green Rovers are their stadium is completely vegan, and even their kit is made out of recycled hemp or whatever, and this, that, and the other. And there was a solicitor, I can't remember which team it was now, some League Two team or National League team or whatever. He smuggled a bacon sandwich in and got ejected forcibly for having a bacon sandwich. I thought it was hysterical, the fact that he'd done it. But again, so over the top to actually manhandle him out of the stadium.
Even not all of their players are vegan or veggie, from what I've heard. They just have to commit to whilst at
the stadium or whatever.
At the stadium, whilst doing club stuff, they have to practice.
But totally off track. We're just on a similar vibe.
I don't class myself as woke, right? There's certain things that are not negotiable with me, and I think that's sensible, everyday human being, common sense kind of thing. So I wouldn't say that I'm particularly, woke, but that kind of thing, just, I get it. People have got their ideals and what they think is right, but I genuinely draw the line with something like that, telling someone what to do, because there's a real reason why we've got incisors and molars in our heads. And I have to say, I could probably go vegetarian, but the one thing I would mega miss is a bacon sandwich, because if I don't know what to eat in my house at any given time, I can guarantee there's always bacon in the fridge, there's always bread, and I'll have a toasted bacon sandwich. That's my go-to, either that and usually with a tin of tomato soup, so you can dip your bacon sandwich in. But that's bonkers bizarre. It's bonkers bizarre.
Anyway, back to Cardiff.
But anyway, back to Cardiff. So, lots of banter, shall we say, from the crowd towards Luke Morgan and South Africans. Some of it's funny, some of it not so funny. Someone near me did say you wouldn't have gone bankrupt if you didn't spend so much money on pyrotechnics. I nicked that and put that on Twitter. So that tickled me somewhat. But then we get to the rugby, and
before we get to the rugby, and I missed the first half, so I didn't realise this till later, because I started watching around half time. Another late submission moments before the start of the game. Am I correct in saying that, in the front row again?
Yeah.
What's going on here? That's been a thread throughout our season, is making selection calls when people clearly aren't 100% fit, and whether that's then impacting our ability to perform on the day when you've got somebody who wasn't anticipating starting and has had that message in for the last 3 or 4 days and has been wearing a bib on the training field and not getting as stuck in as they possibly could have.
I think something happened during warm-up, which forced the issue. Cardiff were warming up in front of us, but the Ospreys were down the opposite end to us, but it did look as though there was a tweak or something that happened during warm-up, because they were also late going in.
But it hasn't just been this game, is it? It's been a significant amount this season, a noticeable amount, isn't it? And I would rather choose the second choice and give them adequate preparation than trying to force somebody through who is maybe doubtful, just for them to pull out last minute and for it to disrupt the rest of the game plan and forcing you to bring somebody in who wasn't even on the team sheet 10 hours beforehand.
Yeah, it felt like a very... Like someone said to me, oh, you've got a bit of a discipline problem because of the cards, because there was obviously that purple patch during the first half where we had like 4 or 5 minutes where we were down to 13 men. I do think we dealt with that quite well. We've dealt with that better throughout the season, but we did deal with it quite well. Lots of debate online over Kasende's red card. Again, opposite end of the pitch to me, and the screens in Cap are not easily visible from some places within the stand, so I couldn't really get a good look at it. And I rewatched it on the highlights, and I don't know. Some people are arguing yellow, some people are arguing red.
I haven't seen it, Sam, and for the benefit of others who haven't, describe it for us.
It was kind of forearm, from what I can remember.
So he led into the tackle with his forearm up. I think the key thing in raising it to red was probably the fact that he then raised the forearm up under his chin.
Yeah,
and as the tackler, not the carrier.
As the tackler.
As the carrier. So
as the carrier, sorry.
Cassandra was the carrier. So he was going into the tackle, forearm up,
and he went up.
And then he sort of raised the forearm up under the defender's chin. I can't remember who it was now. To me, I thought it was a fair call by the ref. I thought it probably was.
I can see arguments for red and I can see arguments for yellow. Do I think Sheedy over-egged it a little bit?
Sheedy, yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, he made a big show of being like, again, no room for that in rugby. And I'm not saying it didn't hurt, and I'm not saying it didn't warrant it, but it seemed like a play for sympathy rather than genuine.
As somebody who hasn't seen it, that's Welsh derbies, isn't it? And if you're going to put yourself in that position, expect to get punished for it. And
I think by the letter of the law, it's probably the right decision. I think again it comes down to inconsistencies in terms of that we've seen similar incidents during the season where there's been similar kind of
Head on head
contact, which
during
has
the
been
game.
yellow instead of red. The head on head with Belcher that had happened before that was a yellow.
Yeah.
Again, you supposed to take into consideration the force of the impact. There was no mitigation with the Belcher one. It was just purely down to force. I think they were both upright and head to head. I think that was the difference with Cassendes, maybe, was the force behind the impact, which escalated it from yellow to red, I think, probably.
As higher than head to head.
Yeah. But it's the inconsistencies in the week to week. You never know. Nobody knows what those actions are going to lead to.
Not only Ospreys fans were not only complaining about the ref during that, but Cardiff fans were complaining about the ref during that, which I feel that he gave Cardiff more than he gave to us. We got away with literally nothing, which I don't mind, providing the other team are not getting away with anything either. Then of course we had Dan Ed's.
So on Consende, we're unlikely to see him again, are we? Then for this season,
think he's going to get cited, and I think he's going to get a ban.
Can they cite though because it was a red? I thought once it was a red, they can't cite, or can they? Okay,
I think they can. I think he can get a punishment for it, can't he?
Yeah.
On review.
Which would be a shame for him.
Red, but yeah.
It'd be a shame for him to go out that way because I don't know where I saw it, maybe on our WhatsApp channel or somewhere, but there are rumours circulating that he might be off at the end of the season. So if that is the last we see of him,
yeah,
at least he was. At least he was sticking it to Welsh opposition. The way he came in, he went out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, leaves the same way he came in. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Because you will forever have that iconic photo of him gripping the Scarlets in one of his early games for us, wasn't he? So yeah, it's fitting if he goes out by throat punching Sheedy.
He looked incredibly glum, didn't he, on the bench? They kept on cutting to him on the bench all the time.
I don't think we saw him afterwards either when you had Meet Your Hero on the pitch afterwards. Obviously, then we had another yellow card with Dan Edds, which I think, again, instinct on his part. I don't think it was a cynical move. That's what he was ultimately pinged for, but I don't think that was the intention. Really,
I think once you put your hand out to intercept, you're not going to really have the opportunity to catch it. I think is always going to be yellow at that point, isn't it? Unfortunately. Just rewinding back though a little bit to that period after the Belcher yellow, I think that's maybe where the game was won and lost, that we didn't capitalise in any way, shape or form. We actually were under pressure for a large part of that first 10-minute period when Belcher was off, and we think we ended that period 3-0 down, I think, after that 10-minute sin bin, whereas that was the time to turn the screw to put pressure on them. And I think from there on, it was pretty clear that it wasn't our night. We weren't on it for whatever reason. It was just one of those games, and we get these now and again, don't we, with the Ospreys, where they're just not at the races. And I suppose every team goes through it over the season, that they can't be at the 100% all the time. And it's not down to effort or anything else, just for whatever reason, whatever we tried didn't come off. And
we gifted it in certain aspects to them.
Yeah, and it seemed clear from the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, really, that it wasn't going to be our day. And if I'm honest, I was quite surprised that we went into the last 5 or into the last play of the game, even with the chance of still winning it.
Still winning.
Yeah.
And to be fair, if we'd have nicked that in the last moments of the game, we would have been in lucky bastard territory. Do you know what I mean?
It would have been a heist, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would have been an absolute heist. But can we talk Cam Jones?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Can we?
Who needs... Oh, God. I've got his name now. Well, yeah. I was thinking more the Welsh Saracens prop.
Rhys Carre.
Who needs Rhys Carre when you've got that kind of sidestep on you?
Honestly, absolutely phenomenal. And I proper jumped up at that point in time, and I was like, "Go on, lad, go on."
Just imagine what he could do if he had some game time.
Exactly. Like, honestly, do you know what I mean? And is that the type of player that we want in and around the squad to kind of, through osmosis, pick up, skills from, other more battle-hardened hookers then. Do you know
Well,
what I
he's
mean?
he's he's certainly of a type that we don't have elsewhere in the squad. He
No.
is of that Rhys Carey type. He is the
Well,
run-in prop, the offloading prop, the more mobile prop, essentially, isn't he?
yeah.
Whereas I think traditionally we've gone for more of the
Well,
the scrummaging type, the
Yeah.
set piece type. So I don't know whether there's anyone in the squad actually that could unlock that area of his game, bar himself or people outside of his position are probably people that he needs to be looking to.
he's got to be on
But
Welsh radar now, though.
he's got a unique USP, isn't
Yeah.
he?
I think there's a
It's about
little bit of an over sort of reaction around that on
oh,
Twitter after they're saying he should be part of the
definitely.
Welsh setup for the summer. Yeah, okay, just rein it
Yeah,
in a
no.
little bit.
That,
He needs some experience with us first, doesn't he? And some game
yeah,
Yes,
time with us before he gets to that point. But in terms of potential, I mean, his ceiling is huge, isn't it?
exactly.
that's where you play your
You've got
part
to look
is
at you've got to look at the physical specimen at the end of the day sometimes, haven't you? And he has something which we don't have a lot of in Wales.
mobility.
So if, you know, coaches, higher powers, whoever can see that he's got potential in the other aspects of his game to, maybe not match his USP, but to make him a good international who can do the rest of the jobs relatively well as well, then yeah, they should be investing in him, shouldn't they, and putting him
Yeah.
in the right rooms with the right people to
Next
build
generation.
his game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's managing his needs properly now, isn't it? There's so many times where players have been thrust in too soon to the international stage, and then
yeah,
a few games they're dumped, and then they're never to be seen again on the international stage. So I think it's managing the expectations on him, but also managing his development properly to give him the right chances to be a long-term answer for Wales rather than
Yeah.
just
hmm
somebody they bring in
And
and dump.
it's slowly catchy monkey sometimes with these players,
Mm.
isn't it? Get them in the room when it happens. They don't necessarily be part of the decision making process. But if you've got them in the room, at least they're learning, they're picking stuff up. They've got. I know cash is tight and whatever, but get them within that setup to get them used to that step up.
hmm
Because with someone like that, harness. You're right, Rod. Harness their USP. Build on that, make them an all-rounded player, so that they've not just got that USP. All right, that's their 100% X factor, but make the others like 90%, 95%, so they're an all-rounded. They've got a good skill set across the board. Um,
Yeah,
Interesting.
because I was going to say, gone are the days that we would remember probably, Sam, where the front row usually had one beast of a prop who was an amazing scrummager and then a mobile prop on the other side to
Yeah,
do everything else. Now you need two strong scrummagers who, with an added bonus of hopefully being a bit more mobile around the field, they can contribute as well.
yeah,
So, as you say, it's upskilling those areas where he's not so strong currently, isn't it?
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
He's
really,
he,
really is.
he's clearly got that natural ability though to identify space and hit gaps, isn't he?
You can't teach
Yeah,
that.
and you could see it in the way that he sort of drifted out to draw that defending player in just so that he could get the offload away. And for some players, it might look simple on TV, but it is a complicated thing when you're on the ground to sort of pull off and get the
Oh,
timings
yeah.
right on, even for somebody who playing in the back line and has done it for 10 years. It does not come naturally to some people, but
No.
he perfectly, without having to think about it, just sort of drifted into the right area and
Yeah.
fed the ball at the right time. So yeah, it was lovely
Having
to
a
see.
rugby brain.
It was really
Having a
nice to see.
rugby brain.
It
So
was the
that
cherry
was,
on top of the break itself, and because there's nothing better.
yeah,
The cake is just the rampaging prop, isn't it?
Yeah.
The offload was the cream on top and the cherry on top of that again.
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a
Sadly,
high
that's
point for
probably
me.
about the
But
only
other than that,
positive
I got
thing, isn't
nothing.
it? That's about it, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I got nothing. Um, but it
Again,
was
like I said, you can't fault the effort. Again, can you? It was clear the commitment and the effort was there, just for whatever reason, whatever we tried.
Yeah.
It's like last week we were saying about the Dan Edwards kick that shouldn't have worked. Friday, whatever should have worked didn't work. It was just completely the opposite, really, wasn't it?
And I
yeah,
think maybe we were probably a bit misguided in thinking that the news coming out the way it did last week would cause a bump. I think in hindsight, and it's probably what happened, it can have the opposite kind of effect where
Yeah.
suddenly, after living in a state of tension and anxiety for the last 2 years, you finally, for the first time, got an opportunity to breathe. And a natural, understandable reaction to that could be to just go, oh, and almost your body just relax and your brain relaxes.
Yeah.
Because it can when it's been living in a state of, you
No.
know, yeah. So,
Yes.
You
so
know,
I think that's maybe a little bit of what happened.
yeah, and I think there were some lovely things that happened. Our try just before half time with that Dan Edwards kick for Kieran to go over. It's there were flashes there. If we could have had that level of consistency throughout the game, and I don't want to say it, avoided the cards, then it might have been a different story. But we never allowed ourselves to get a foothold into the game.
I think discipline generally has been our Achilles heel a little bit this season. Well, big time really in lots of games. There's been,
Yeah,
as much as there's been lots of positives in terms of the way we're playing, and we talked last week about finding that balance between forwards and backs and everything else. We've been on the back foot in a lot of games this season because of our discipline, and I'm sure that'd be something that the coaching team would be looking to work on over the off season and to sort of drum it into the players that we can't win games if we're down to 14 men for half an hour of every game.
you can't. Yeah, and okay, we got a bonus point from that. Rod's on mute.
Sorry, I heard somebody coming down the stairs, so I was anticipating somebody potentially bursting in. I,
Hello.
I was just saying, we can't forget that obviously Mark's regime is new, but even
Yeah.
newer than that is Tipperick's sort of coaching, or the time he's had to implement his coaching sort of theory. So yeah, I think for him this will have been an insightful first season, wouldn't it? You'll have seen exactly what people's capabilities are, where the gaps are, and yeah, you're right. In the off season now, we can start to plug those, and we should see, all going well, a bit of a step up in that department next year.
Yeah,
Because we've
and
got high expectations in that department. We've always been pretty good.
yeah,
So I'm
and
sure his aspiration is to get back there.
yeah, and I think you know the fact that we came back so close as we did show a bit of grit and determination. We've come away with a bonus point, which kind of still leaves us in the hunt for the top 8.
Oh God, no.
But no, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
The ultimate optimist coming here. Wait for it.
I am being optimistic, but we are heavily resplendent on other results going our way. But I do think we can turn the Turks over. I do. I'm praying. And to be honest, I think Leinster could be there for the taking.
Like we said earlier in the year, I think it's down to where they're up to in terms of European progress. If they've got a European final to look forward to, which is in no
If you can get turned over by
certainty
number
at all.
3, Benetton, why not us?
But they're certainly not the force that they have been in previous seasons. They don't seem to have that same strength and depth or the same consistency than they did last season, certainly, and they look fallible compared to previous years, certainly. So yeah, that game might be there for the taking.
I think it's optimistic about it, can I?
Yeah. I think it's more the case of the other teams around us are more likely to win games as well to take us out of the equation, even if we do get 10 points out of our last 2 matches, isn't it?
It's a big ask. It is a big ask to rely on other teams to do us a solid.
What is our percentage?
Hit us with your optimism.
Friday, 2% was it on Friday before? Because every season we've been on, it's like the famous season the year before last with Toby, we were on was it a 1% chance or whatever it was, and then last season was something similar. And I think on Friday before Friday's game we were like 3% or something. So it'll be interesting to see where we are after that. Probably down to Toby Booth territory again.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep living and believe in that dream, But I think we are. Yeah, I'm reaching, guys. I'm reaching, but I'm going to continue to reach. So I'm going to give you one good thing about Cardiff, and I'm going to give you one bad thing about Cardiff. and Cardiff Arms Park. Good thing, love kids weekend. It was great seeing the kids, and it was lush being able to go onto the pitch and meet your heroes. I loved that it wasn't just limited to little ones. It was also allowing
Big kids.
48-year-old Farrell women on the pitch. So it was lovely to wander around.
Did John have one of those leads
No,
and
he
a
fucking
harness for you
left me.
to make sure you don't run off?
No, he left me.
Obviously, we didn't see the post-game stuff, so I just got visions of loads of 5 to 10-year-olds running around the pitch chasing players, and then you there as well, just chasing Ospreys players around as well. And
Yeah,
elbowing the kids
smacking
out
them
the way.
They just said, "Oh, we'll text you and tell you where we are," which was fine because I saw Harry Bopkins, and I said, "Pretend you're my kid, so I don't look a weirdo." But then I realised other people were also older people on the pitch. So I got to speak to Ratty, as per usual, because obviously knows Ratty's dad. Lovely picture with Ratty. Saw Ryan Smith. I think Ryan Smith had some friends over. Had some lovely pictures with Ryan Smith. He gave me a lovely hi, Sam, and a massive big hug. That man can bear a hug. Really
He's
can't
big
bear a
enough,
hug.
right?
Yeah, you had to bend really, really low because I had my trainers on. And I'm only like 5'2", but it was lovely. But I have to say, star of the night goes to Harry Deves. I am an absolute twat when it comes to technology. I'm not good at all. Tried to take a selfie, started to take a video. He pissed himself laughing. I posted on Insta and he responded back to me and said, "You idiot with the video." And I said, "Yeah, I'm a twat." He said, Sam ran the podcast. Didn't recognise me because I had a dress on. But he did see me when I was out in Ireland calling his name and waving my flag at him. I knew he'd see me. He was just warming up. So that was lovely. And it was really nice. Like loads of kids had balls signed. Harry Deves gives his socks away to these kids. I managed to rustle up a Sharpie and helped him hold the sock tight so he could sign the socks for these kids with a Sharpie. So I thought that was super, super cute. So I love Kids Week in URC because I think it's really nice. And the good thing about that is we're going to have a similar pitch down in St Helens. So we're going to be able to do similar stuff next season.
I can't remember what pod I was listening to this on over the last week or so, but they were talking about how a fan was holding up a poster at the England-Wales game the other day, or maybe it was the game from the weekend before that, saying, "Ellie Kildun, tattoo me," because of something else that had happened previously on in the year. Maybe you should do that, Sam. You should go along with one of those new fancy mobile tattoo guns without any of the cables and get Harry Deves to tattoo you post-match.
What the hell would Harry Deves tattoo on you? That would be a worry, wouldn't it?
I know. I'm like that. I don't want to knob. I'm like knob and balls on me, Rod. Like,
you just got to let the artist speak. You can't be trying to control his madness. You got to just let it flow out of him.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm a bit of a lunatic, but I'm not that much of a lunatic to let Ospreys players loose on my body with a tattoo gun that I got on eBay. I'm a twat, but not that much of a twat. However, bad side. I noticed it. Someone else noticed it who shall remain nameless, but thanks for mentioning you watched the pod because you're really cool. No Welsh spoken. Other than a diolch, when they said crowd is blah, 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 diolch. No Welsh.
Even we do more than that.
No Welsh. None at all. Which, considering we're the capital city and the capital city has to have rugby, and that is the home of our government and our Senedd, and no Welsh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You would just expect it when you're at a professional sports stadium of any kind in Wales, really, that you'd have bilingual. Yeah, you just expect it.
And I don't even speak Welsh, but I'm so used now to everything being said in Welsh and English. I was like, oh, okay. So, Cap, do better.
You expect it to just sort of be reflex.
Yeah,
It shouldn't have even needed to be thought about. I don't understand how it was forgotten, considering it's usually done. Because
yeah,
aren't they just sort of recycling lines, recycling process?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, so Cap, do better. But
Hmm.
that's all I've got to say about Friday. Um, but
And now we
yeah,
have a week off.
now we've got a week off. Upper Drags, come on,
Hmm.
let's go.
Yeah.
Wishing them all the very, very best of luck. They also won on the weekend.
Yeah, moved
So
up above the Scarlets, which
I
is
know,
nice.
got a bit of
Oh,
a,
have they? I
They
hadn't
have.
yes,
noticed.
They have, yeah.
That's
yeah.
the biggest I've smiled all episode.
But we are still in contention for the Welsh Shield,
We are.
guys.
Although, did you
Yes,
see
yeah.
the URC app on Saturday immediately after the game
Mercy me.
had deleted the Ospreys completely from the Welsh Shield? There were only three teams: Shield, Cardiff, Scarlets, and Dragons. The Ospreys had disappeared completely off it.
As much as certain elements of the Welsh Rugby Union would love that to happen, we're
Yeah,
in attendance on Friday evening. Um, we're still here, as the gays say, queer and still here. It was a chant in America in the 70s.
So,
But
in terms of
we
the
are still in the
Shield,
hunt.
sorry, just to go through the detail in terms of the Shield, just because I got it in front of me. We're three behind points behind Cardiff now. They're on 20, we're on 17.
yeah.
Cardiff don't have any more
No,
derbies, do they?
no.
No,
Okay. So yeah, we could
Beat the
take
Scarlets.
it if we beat the Scarlets. Yeah,
Yeah.
any
And then
win
if
we
will
we
can
do.
and then we can parade the Welsh Shield around
if we can
after the
properly
game.
win, that would make me happy. I'm sure that Tumble Scarlet will have an absolute epi if that happened. But he's not going to be there in attendance because apparently 38 quid for a derby match in the shithouse that is Brewery Field
Not
is
worth
a piss
it.
take.
Well, do you know what he can do? He can go up to the chapel on the top of the cliff
And
behind
watch it from
the
there.
rugby pitch and watch it from the walls up there
I
with
know.
his binoculars.
But I don't think it's that bad. When I book,
talking
like,
of talking
it's
of
not that bad.
fans that we love, Sam, did you bump into a certain person at the Arms Park on Friday night?
No, I was looking.
Mm,
Was looking. Apparently, he does normally sit in the stand that I was in. I did look.
it's disappointing.
Did look. Um, yeah, I did look. Didn't manage to catch up with him or see him.
Oh.
Because I would have had a few choice words for him.
And if Tumble Scarlet's not coming to the brewery either, then that's our two greatest enemies that we won't have a
Got
chance
in,
to.
unless Mr. Snow's there.
Oh, that's true.
But I don't think it's that bad. Like, okay, when you compare it to like the Swansea.com, that's fine. But 38 quid is 38 quid. When you think what you're paying to go and watch big derbies in England, you're paying 70, 80 quid for a basic ticket in Bath or Bristol. Don't think 38 quid is that bad. Really, really don't. But what's been really lovely to see, and loads of people have tweeted this week to say they're going to buy a season ticket for St Helens for the first time in a long, long time. They're going to buy a season ticket for the Ospreys in a long time. So they're actually getting their bums off their seats in their house now. Like one guy tweet me and was like, "I've been an armchair supporter. I realise now that that was wrong. I need to come back. I'm going to get a season ticket." So I think people are understanding that unless you actually put your money where your mouth is, your region's not secure. So that's really lovely. And I think that was the lovely thing about Friday was 12,000 people in the sunshine, lots of banter, lots of tribalism. Can't beat it. Literally can't beat it. It was
Mhm.
great. I really enjoyed myself. And long may it continue, long may it rain. I didn't get the chance to watch a lot more of the URC games. I've only watched highlights really, because I went out and impulse bought a new sofa on Saturday. So yeah, kind of in the
Neither
doghouse.
did I. I think this is
No,
probably
no
the
way.
weekend over the last 5 years that I've watched the least rugby on. I watched half of the Ospreys game, and that's about it. Didn't watch the Wales women's. Apparently they did quite well, didn't they? And scored
Or
4
24
Bit of
tries
points.
try bonus
against the
in there,
Red
yeah.
Roses for the first time ever, or in a long time, ever.
Yeah.
First team who's not France to have done it in the Six Nations.
Mm.
So yeah, good for them. Good for them.
And I absolutely think it's great for the support, because a lot of places in and around, because it was Ashton Gate that it was played, wasn't it? Lots of places in Bristol did like watch parties and stuff.
Mhm.
Sarah Byrne and a couple of the other players have started a clothing brand, and I quite like their t-shirts. But they did events, women's watch party events, to go and watch. And I thought that was really cool, and it was lovely to see like the young girls there with their bows in their hair, like Georgia. Beautiful to see like little baby Ralphie with his two mums. Grandad took him, had him in his baby carrier, and then he went and joined mums on the pitch. So some really lovely moments from Saturday. And when I did say to someone on the weekend, I thought it was, a really good performance. They were like, "Are you joking?" They lost like by 40 points. But to score 24 points against that England team, let's not forget they are World Cup champions. They are best in the world.
Mm.
Ellie Kildun is just mind blowing as a player. And she's just not the only star that they've got within that team. I think Sean Lynn is doing something really great with the women, and women's games are making that step up. Um,
There
Just
is
come
a
back to the
serious
USC.
point there, though, isn't there?
Sorry,
About
sir.
sorry, just on that still about the enjoyment of the product, and we don't need to talk about it really, but because everybody else is talking about it, but there's no jeopardy, is there? There's jeopardy in individual fixtures, but you know what the outcome's going to be at the end of the 5-6 week period of the Six
yeah,
Nations, and I do find that a barrier to me fully engaging. Um, like I watched the first 2 Wales games of the competition, didn't watch the one this weekend, and normally I'd go out of my way then to try and rewatch and catch up, but I just don't have that desire in me because it just feels like a given.
the table is what the
Um,
table is, and you could have guessed what it would be
yeah.
like at this point in the competition by now.
Mhm.
But standards are improving. And I think when we look traditionally back to when it was Five Nations, you know, before Italy was in contention, then you could pretty much say the same thing about the Five Nations, really. But I think women's rugby will get there. Standards will improve, and I think that's where it's really important that Welsh rugby. I think the problem with women's rugby in Wales is a lot of the Welsh girls are playing in the PWR, but they're second string choices to like the
Mhm.
Canadians and the English that are playing there. So they're also not getting the opportunity to get runtime out in the PWR. I think the talk that was on with regards to two Welsh teams joining the PWR is a far better idea than trying to set something up in Wales. I think we need to be dipping our toe in that PWR water rather than trying to create something in Wales, because we haven't got the player base for more than 2 teams.
No.
And I think that benefits women's rugby as a whole within, England and Wales, to allow the Welsh women into that competition.
Yeah.
But
Just taking a step back to the URC, if you do want a table that's looking very interesting at the moment, as opposed to the Women's Six Nations, Stormers have now gone top. Glasgow a point behind them. It's Lions 2 points behind them, level on points with Leinster. Then you got Munster 2 points behind Leinster, breathing down their neck for fourth. Cardiff only a point behind them. Bulls only a point behind Cardiff. Ulster 2 points behind the Bulls. So you've got 9 points separating first from eighth. That last playoff place still very much up for grabs.
really tight.
Munster potentially pushing Leinster to be the top Irish province at the end of the season. Some really big narrative still to play out between now and the end of the season in terms of not just the top 8, but in terms of the seedings for playoffs and stuff as well. So really, really interesting, tighter table than there has been for many years, I think, in the URC. So we're used to seeing Leinster canter away at the top. Very much all to play for as things stand.
I like that, though. I like that you don't know which way it's going to go. What I would like to know is who's to blame for the Sharks losing on the weekend against Edinburgh?
You'll have to ask their owner.
Are Edinburgh going to have to take lie detector tests? Are they mourning that, Van der Merwe is a sleeper agent? But that did tickle me over the weekend. But news-wise, just before we came on air, sad news. Very sad news. We are losing the man with possibly the best cheekbones in the URC, Jack Welsh, to Montauban.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's been in my head all day saying it that way.
There's quite a few different rumours circulating over the last couple of weeks, wasn't there? We were hearing Scarlets at one point, and then Exeter, his old club, were thrown back in the mix, and then we started hearing that French clubs were sniffing around. And once that starts happening, you sort of know which way it's going to go, because
you're going to garner interest.
Very few teams, can compete with the French teams in terms of their the size of their wallet. So, good luck to him. It's a shame that we won't see him in the Ospreys jersey next season at St Helens, or in a Welsh jersey, because he was only 1 year off qualifying for Wales on residency. Yeah, but you've got to take, make the most of your opportunities when they're there and available to you in rugby, because that same deal might not be sitting there for him next year, and it could be one that, sets you up for life. So,
short career. Kind of guessed the writing was on the wall when we saw on his Instagram that he was posting pictures from Toulouse, and Toulouse is now we're away from Montauban. As one of the lads in our WhatsApp group said, Bob, at least he didn't sign for the Turks.
Yeah.
I think we would have all been like savages if that had happened, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's a shame to lose one of our most consistent performers. I mean, he was arguably Player of the Year last year. He's not been maybe quite as good this year, but he's been pushed around from 15 to 10 quite a lot, so he's had to play out of position a fair bit. But in terms of consistent qualities, would be one of our best performers over the last 2 seasons. We'll always have that moment against Glasgow with the last minute conversion in injury time last season.
He'll always be a legend.
Maybe his highlight. But big loss, and probably makes more sense now, the Tom Rogers signing, which seemed to be out of the blue. Clearly it was planning for the loss of Jack Welsh with bringing
that was the writing on the wall moment for me. That was and it's funny, isn't it, because we lose one player and we need 2 players to replace him, really, because
we need 10.
He was full-back, but he was also, we've sort of been existing with 1.5 fly halves, really, haven't we? In Dan Edwards and Jack Walsh, and now we're down to 1. So
we've got to get cover in that position, and we've said it for the last year. We've got to get cover in that position. Mm-hmm. Hopefully now things have settled a bit with the Welsh Rugby Union. We're in the hunt, and we can start getting some sign-ins in. It might be slim pickings because we've missed that January window, as we've said last week. But I've been trying to have a look around to see if I've seen anything on the rumour mill, and I've not particularly seen anything, but have been busy in work this week, so not been perhaps as on the ball as we could be, or I could be, with regards to lock-in. But I do certainly think that we need to get that depth, strength and depth there with 10 cover, because, undoubtedly, like Dan is going to go back into the Welsh fold, and we're screwed in the autumn unless we get someone in there. Like, we're screwed.
I would imagine once the PRA is signed, then that's the point maybe where we'll start to see signings coming through then quite quickly.
Yeah,
Once we've got that stability in place for the next few years.
yeah. And I just think, hopefully good news coming in over the next couple of weeks. Last time I went past St Helens, lots of council vans going back and forth. The big lorries with different stuff on. Don't know if a lot's gone on. You said you popped by on your way back from uni, Rod, so it looked as though there was activity going on there, but hopefully we'll see some major changes. Someone who knows a lot more about pitches than I know reckons it's a relatively quick job. I say quick, we're not talking 24 hours, but it's a relatively quick job to lay that kind of 3G, 4G pitch, far quicker than it would be to try and, cultivate and grow a grass pitch. So, I think things are moving on in the right direction. We've just got to get some strength now in key areas. Absolutely praying we sign Ryan Smith on again, because I said to him on Friday night, firm fan favourite after coming in this season. The impact that you've made, phenomenal. You've kind of got stuck right in. You fit our vibe as a team.
Yeah.
He
is a good fit.
Stop short of begging him and doing the please don't go kind of thing. And he's such a nice lad. Do you know what I mean? Always will have a chat. Could have done without the oversharing with his cutting his toenail off with a knife, but I'm not that squeamish. But fingers crossed, we get more news of people re-signing and new people coming in to add that strength and depth to the squad. So, anybody got any other news that they wish to share with us?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Nope.
I'm glad of it.
I'm glad of it.
I'm going to try and make something up just to fill the minutes.
Fill the minutes out. Did I tell you on air that John has now got a 3D printer? I think I mentioned to you outside of the pod, but I don't think I've mentioned it on pod.
Yeah, 3D printer. Definitely going to be utilising those services.
Mate, I've been printing random shit for the last week. Absolutely printing random shit for the last week.
What's the most random thing?
Well, this is where we come to. Have you heard of monitor buddies?
No.
No, but I can guess.
Right. So they sit on top of your monitor. Yeah. And they're kind of your little friends who sit on top of your monitor. So I originally went with something really, really cute. Can you see him?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
He's a little Highland cow. He's very
nice.
Cute. His name's Hamish, and he sits on one of my monitors because my desk's like a NASA screen. I've got 3 monitors. So looking the other day now, and I was like, I want something a bit better for my monitor. What am I going to print? What have my monitor and Notre Dame got in common? Gargoyles. Look at him.
That's cool.
So I've basically got the world's cutest Highland cow.
And a gargoyle.
And a gargoyle, which suits both sides of my personality perfectly. Like, epic.
When you first brought this up, my brain was going to all the practical things that could improve my life, that would make jobs easier.
And then you remembered we were talking to Sam.
Yeah.
Like, behave yourself now. I then thought, what else am I going to print? Chubby little unicorn.
Of course it is.
Obviously. And then I was like, who's my favourite? Stitch is my favourite.
An appropriate colour for it there as well.
I know. And I've printed things like chubby little penguins with Christmas hats on.
You need to take this to the next level now, Sam, whereby you store up all your bottle lids and then you blitz those
Use that
down
on
and
my
you
filament.
yes, because there are products out there for remelting that plastic into new filament.
I've sent John a list of the filament that I want in really cool colours because I've done loads of like little Disney things and shit as well. John's been super practical. John's printed stuff like accessories to put on the printer. He's done like filament comes out of the back of it, so he's like printed a poop chute for the back of the printer. He's done all these really practical things. He's printed little rabbits with police hats on for the kids to paint at the police family fun day. He's done really, really cool things. He's done like little scenery and whatever.
This thing's running 24/7 then, is it?
Pretty much. I'm like,
You walk in your house and you can just hear
is the printer free? All you can see is me then deciding to pick the most random shit that I can print ever. I've done bookmarks. I've done dragons. I've even done a little dragon holding a sign which says "fuck off" on it, which I'm going to put on my desk because that amuses me.
Can I give you a little challenge then, Sam?
Yeah.
Can you do Aussie?
I don't know how to design SDLT, but I'll see what I can do.
That'd be cool.
But
you can live in your pocket then every game, couldn't you?
Rod's kind of taken my randomness out of me. So if you give me something like that, I'm not practical in the slightest. I've gone proper full-on whimsical shit that I don't need. Practical or whimsical? What would you do?
Oh, definitely practical. Definitely. And I can't think of any examples right now, but there's probably instances, maybe half a dozen times a week where I go, oh God, there's just like some little tiny component, some little plastic doodah that's broken on something. And you can't get that bit online. It's irreplaceable. You can't sort of doctor something. And you think, God, if I had a 3D printer, this would just be an easy job. So it'd just be little things like that, little repairs. Nothing.
I can totally print. Oh, I can't see it.
Nothing exciting.
There's an osprey in flight that I could print.
There's not Aussie. That's not good enough, Sam. We want Aussie.
Right, I'm going to have to, I'll see what I can get to design me an SDLT. Or if I can just get an osprey's mask done. You know?
Yeah.
I'm totally whimsical on this.
I would be as well, Sam, to be honest. I would just be total random shit. Nothing that I could use at all because I'm not practical in any way, shape, or form. So I would just be making all sorts of random
Honestly,
crap, I'm afraid.
I've seen a pen holder that I can print with a Highland cow on that takes 3.5 hours. I want it for my desk.
This seems dangerous for somebody of your disposition, Sam. We're gonna lose you now. Somebody's gonna come and try and find out what's happened to you. They're gonna open your front door and it's just a pile of plastic.
Honestly, I've done
is gonna flow out.
It's just gonna be like, what is going on?
Think about the planet, Sam.
Yeah,
all the plastic you're using. Goodness me.
Right. Okay. Whatevs. But yeah, that's the rando for the week. Would you be practical or whimsical? Rod would be very practical, but he is that type of hands-on practical person. Me and Mark are nearing end of life now, so we just think, fuck it, let's just do random shit.
Yeah, little things amuse me now, Sam, I'm afraid. So
amuses me as well. Someone sent me something earlier on because they know I love horror films, and I watched The Last Conjuring over the weekend, and it was pretty good, you know. Ed and Lorraine Warren, good grifters, like. And they sent me this, and they were like, "This is totally you." And it said, "I would be the first person to die in a horror film, not because I'm weak, but because I refuse to participate. You think I'm sprinting through a forest at 3 a.m. in my nightgown because I heard like laughing in the basement? Absolutely not. If the demon wants me, it can come upstairs and talk to me like an adult." That's me. I'm like, I ain't running nowhere. I'm not oh, let's go and investigate the basement, shall we? No, let's not go and investigate the basement. Phone the local priest, get him to come and do an exorcism. Let's be sensible about these things. You know? But we have got no rugby this weekend, but I'm assuming that we are going to support the Drags.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%. I should the whole of Wales should be getting behind the Dragons this weekend.
Absolutely. I'm going to put my dragon shirt. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to IKEA. Because
would we be this supportive if it wasn't the Drags and it was
absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking
No,
not.
Scarlet and Cardiff, no chance. But the Dragons, everybody loves the Dragons. So yeah.
No, let's not be crazy now. But I'm actually going to IKEA because I can't just like go and buy a sofa. I now need to paint my living room. I've decided to wall mount my telly. Decided that I need floating shelves to go underneath the telly and get rid of the TV unit. So I've decided to just go on a mad one now. So I'm going to IKEA on the weekend. So I'm going to say to my mum, can we go really early so I can get back to watch rugby? Because otherwise I'm just going to end up needing a kidney for the home decor and renovations I want to do. But we are then back the week after for our final derby of the year against the Scarlets. Hoo-ha! Can't let's have you. But so we may have a little week off next week unless we decide we want to convene and have a chat about the Drags and have a look again ahead to the Turks. And it's also a bank holiday weekend. Loves a bank holiday, I do.
I never cared about bank holidays when I was teaching because the school holidays always included the bank holidays anyway. Now that I'm a real world worker like everybody else, the bank holidays have become massively important. So
Rod's
I get it now.
Rod's one of the great unwashed, so we don't give a fuck anymore because
exactly.
he's permanently on holiday.
Well, yeah, I'm in the strange position now as a postdoc student, whereby obviously term ends for the majority of the university at certain points throughout the year, and it feels like everyone disappears, but I'm still expected to be there. But you can tell that all the staff, all the sort of lecturers and tutors and stuff, they sort of relax as well a bit.
Yeah.
So you can definitely sort of behave a bit more holiday-like during the big 2-week Easter holidays and the summer holidays. You could sort of loosen your schedule up a bit to be a bit more flexible.
We're going to have to call you Dr. Rod when you finish doing this.
Eventually, in 4 years' time. If everything goes well.
Dr. Rod.
And I will enforce it. I will not respond unless I'm addressed with my full title. No, I will not be like that. I will only change it on some of my letters and some of my posts.
I would.
Just to remind me every once in a while.
One of my friends who's the same age as me had to go to the hospital. No, Danny's a little bit older than me. He was 50 last year. He had to go to the hospital last week. And he had to have a stent put in. And he messaged me to say, I've just been seen by Dr. Doogie Howser, MD. Because the doctor looked so young. I was like, what? I know who fucking Doogie Howser is, but was he really like a child prodigy doctor? He went, no, Sam, he just looked young. I was like, here's me thinking child prodigy doctor. And then I realised that we're old, so everybody looks young to us now.
Well, Rod did look a bit blank there for a second with the reference. And then
I remembered exactly who it was. Yes. Neil Patrick Harris.
Whereas I instantly knew what you were on about. So.
And the other, talking about Neil Patrick Harris, and it's kind of not related, but I always think of him and Michael C. Hall in the same thing. They're making a musical out of The Lost Boys.
Are they?
With Kiefer, so no Kiefer Sutherland film.
Yeah,
they're making a musical out of The Lost Boys. I don't know how that's going to work.
No.
Do you like Chinese, Michael? Rod's again looking blank.
No, I just had to Google who Michael C. Hall was, and it's Dexter. I didn't know his name.
He was in loads
I've watched Dexter through a few times.
I did a Dexter tour when I went to Florida on holiday.
Didn't it get renewed recently?
Got cancelled, then renewed, and it was like Dexter. They did a Dexter backstory, but then they renewed it with old Dexter.
But was that recently? Wasn't there something coming soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dexter Resurrection.
That's the one. That's the one.
Any good?
You know, I haven't watched it.
Not seen it.
Okay.
I haven't watched it. Didn't like the Dexter Origins one. Thought it was weird. Because I always thought Dexter's quite a nice guy. He's just, a serial killer. If that makes sense.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, a bit misunderstood.
Lovable rogue.
Heart's in the right place. Did the wrong thing. But that is us for this evening. It's been quite a nice one, really, isn't it? We've had a bit of a laugh, But no ymlaen y Welsh tonight, so we'll just say,
Ymlaen y dreigiau?
Ymlaen y dreigiau.
Yeah, come on, you drags.
Come on, drags, let's go. I identify as a man of Gwent. Come on.
And we've used more Welsh than Cap tonight, just in that 1 5-second clip.
Diolch.
There we go.
Bendigedig. Love that word. But have a lovely weekend. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe. We love hearing from you. I'm sure we'll speak to most of you on the WhatsApp group anyway. But for now, have a wonderful bank holiday weekend. Support the Dragons, you want to. And we'll be back next week with a Scarlet preview. Have a nice weekend. Ymlaen y Dragon.